Alright guys, welcome into another episode of the Queen City Soccer Show. I am Cole Godfrey and joined as always by Level Up Luke. Luke, how you feeling, man?
Well rested. I just got back from a little trip here and I was wore out, so I took a nap.
Yeah, we'll get into it later, but Luke has been enthralled and all amongst it when it comes to soccer, and he's been in Cary, North Carolina covering the TST tournament. Y'all, if you haven't been following Luke or our TikTok or Instagram at QCS Pod, on TikTok at QCS Pod _, on Instagram at QCS Pod, on Twitter at LVL
UP
Luke on Twitter, and at Cole _Godfrey on Twitter. We have been putting out content like crazy. Big ups to Luke for all the hard work he's put in while I was sipping some beers and some mixed drinks on the beach and out in the ocean.
I was gonna say, how was the vacation, man?
Yeah, we only went offshore one day, unfortunately. But the day we did go offshore, caught some king mackerel, caught amberjack, caught some flounder, caught some like bluefish, some Spanish mackerel, and some snapper. So it was we pretty successful fishing trip overhaul, and we got a lot of fish to eat that it's going to be lasting us, and I've been just giving it out to whoever will take it at this point.
That's awesome, man. Well, super excited to hear that, and yeah, my vacation was a little more soccer oriented. I saw a post from them today that there's been over 112 games so far in this tournament. It was definitely a lot to keep up with. We have not had a chance to talk about the Atlanta game yet. I think when we're going to look back on this season, that was a game that will stand out. Did you have a chance to watch that?
I did, actually. That was like I said, we were at the beach, but I was pretty persistent on me being at the house watching the game, so I did get a chance to watch it. And yeah, you can't, anytime you beat the neighbors to the south down I-85, it's a good day. And then then their manager gets fired the next day, and Atlanta United is in shambles. And I'll be completely honest with you, I'm not mad about it. So great to see. I know you were busy out there in Cary. Did you get a chance to watch it, or you weren't in Cary yet, was you?
I wasn't. I was originally going to go see that game in person, but it turned out to be just not the right timing for me. So I stayed home with my kids and watched it on TV on broadcast. Actually checked out the national broadcast on Fox just to switch things up a little bit, and that was incredible, man. All the posts I was seeing online from the supporters who were able to make it down, the number that we kept hearing was 2,000 fans. It reminded me a lot of the game last year that I was able to attend. I saw a lot of similarities. The Crown took over. We absolutely own Atlanta. From the pregame, just seeing how excited, how hyped up everybody was, I had a pretty good feeling about the day.
Yeah, so let's hop into it. Charlotte come out victorious 3-2 against Atlanta United. We'll go straight from the top and from the lineup that Dean Smith put out there to face Atlanta, which was Big Pat up top, Kerwin on the left, Leah Abada gets the start on the right, Junior Urso, Ashley Westwood, Brant Bronico in the midfield with Euronin, Privet, Melanda, Byrne, and Kalina.
I heard an interview with Bronico where he said that we're a bunch of dogs out there. And I was just like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you are. Yeah, those are our dogs out there getting after it. So I like that move for the Atlanta matchup. And Dean continues to show he's going to put out the lineup that he thinks is best based on the opposition and the trends that they're seeing. So I like that level of pragmatism.
I mean, obviously you got Euronin coming back in, and then Urso and Gianni to me have very similar. They're very defensive. I guess you could make the argument if you wanted to go a little bit more offensive, you could throw out Nikola Pekovic out there or Ben Bender. But, I'm not mad at it. I mean, we'll get into the second half, but Brent Bronico was absolutely phenomenal in this game. Yeah, I mean, it was more of a defensive look, and it kind of showed in the first 20 to 30 minutes of this match, man. Charlotte, to be completely honest with you, was just soaking up pressure, and realistically, Atlanta could have been leading this game. They should have at least had one goal, but they definitely could have had two within that first 30 minutes. And then in the 35th minute, Thiago Abada gets on the score sheet. The one guy that you don't want to beat you, he scores, and it's going to be tough from here on out because just from the way we were playing, we come out kind of flat. Our front, Leo Abada and Kerwin Vargas and Big Pat wasn't really linking up too well in that first 30 minutes or so. We got a break in the 40th minute, and own goal comes off of Derek Williams, off of where you never want to be hit as a young man, and it goes into the goal. Charlotte is back in this thing level 1-1 going into halftime, and you had to feel pretty good about it at that point.
Yeah, I totally agree that our friend Own Goal came back to visit. It's been quite a while. Were you good to see the return?
Yeah, I mean, people give MLS a bunch of crap because of the quality or lack thereof or whatever. And because of the way some things happen, man, but own goals happen all over the world in soccer. It's just it's unfortunate for the team that concedes it, but in this particular instance, I'm not going to complain because it, like you said, it changed the entire dynamic of this game.
Yeah, it really controlled very little. They had a few opportunities, but they were good opportunities, and I thought that we deserved to be level. So that one goal, I think, really kind of rescued back a mostly poor performance and changed the narrative. It's like our coach actually adapted to the opponent and shut them down. What did you see in the second half, Cole?
I don't know if it's something that because you come out with the same lineup, so I mean, I don't know if it's something that Dean Smith said in the locker room or he'd seen something that Atlanta was doing, and whatever he did, the adjustments that were made, man, we were doing that high press that I love to see personally. And we come out with a fire. We pretty much dominated, I would say, that first 20 to 25 minutes of the second half. You see it with Leo Abada getting on the score sheet in the 56th minute to go up 2-1. They kind of slack off. It's a transition moment. Patrick Ajimong takes the ball up and passes it out wide, and it comes into Leo, and he's got plenty of space and slots the ball between two defenders in that bottom far corner. Yeah, you go up 2-1. Great finish by Liel. It's great to see him get back on the score sheet and get that confidence boosted. What'd you see on that goal, Luke?
Yeah, I mean, Liel is really special, and he was able to hit the ball from a distance. It was just on a line. Great shot, and it's the class of finishing that we haven't had at Charlotte FC. I mean, I'm trying to remember a player who could hit the ball from outside the box, on a line straight into the goal, and I'm not coming up with anything. That was not Carroll's skill set. That was not Enzo's skill set. That wasn't Ortiz's skill set. I mean, can you think of another player that had this in their toolbox?
I mean, we didn't see a lot. We didn't see any of it from Enzo, obviously, but we didn't see a lot of it from Carroll. I think Carroll had it in his locker. We seen him have a free kick pop against FC Cincinnati at home, and he had a couple of similar goals. It wasn't nothing that was going to be regular. It wasn't, it just happened to be if he was in the right place at the right time, or the goalie was kind of not being able to see the ball or whatever. And about 10 minutes later, in the 68th minute, Bronico, who attacks the box, and Leo Abada again in the right spot at the right time, another goal, and he gets his brace in the 68th minute, and you go up 3-1. Things looking hunky dory at this time. The 2,000 fans that were in attendance for Charlotte FC were making their voice heard. I could hear it on the TV. So big ups to you guys. Y'all brought it down there. You're up 3-1. What do you think about that second goal from Abada?
That was the nail in the coffin. That was the decider. I thought the game was over, and so that really put it away. Liel with the brace, well-deserved. He gets on the team of the match day. He was up for goal of the week, and just really well-deserved honors and plaudits from our sole DP. Obviously, not counting Brecht. I haven't seen Brecht in a while. Hope he's doing well. But I think that may be a player that we move on from in the summer window. It just doesn't make sense at this point with the way the team's developed. It looks like, we talked about earlier in the season, he's not fitting in. Liel is. It looks like we're starting to build those connections. He has a little connection with Bronico. So you love to see it, man. Well-deserved result. And we totally skipped over Atlanta. They didn't just have one own goal on the weekend. They had several. And it seemed like they could not stop dunking on themselves. Starting out with the Atlanta United 2 losing to Crown Legacy on Friday night, going into that weekend. with an extra time goal by Aaron John, AJ, with the winner, 90+1 or 90+2. So the Crown Legacy boys get a win early in the weekend. And then Atlanta United on social media just started putting out some weird, bizarre videos where they had like a Sir Minty they got off of Wish.com. Did you see any of these?
I did. It just looks a little trashy. Is that the right word? I don't know. Or just very like they were reaching. I guess this is supposed to be a rivalry. These two teams are very close in proximity, and I understand wanting to hype up the rivalry and all that stuff. And they did do some petty stuff. Like instead of having Charlotte in the stadium, had visitors on the scoreboard and putting the 2,000 Charlotte traveling fans way up in the upper deck. They were wearing the crown, the little Burger King crown, trying to just do these little subtle jabs and digs. We haven't seen this really in the past from Atlanta when we played them, and this is just my opinion, but the reason why is because Atlanta's been good. Atlanta's been fighting for playoffs or been comfortably in the playoffs positions, and they were struggling this year. They are struggling horribly at home. And I think it's just one of those things where they were trying to kind of hype up the crowd, push this as a rivalry, get the team ready to win a home game, to be completely honest with you, because like I said, where usually, you got to give credit where credit's due. Usually Atlanta United, you didn't want to play them in Mercedes-Benz because they were just, lights out, and they've lost 6 home games in a row now. And that is, if that was Charlotte, dude, we would be losing our ever-loving minds, dude. They sit 13th in the Eastern Conference. They're not a good team this year, which makes no sense because they have the talent. And like I said, it was like they were reaching, and it was great to see Charlotte just go down there and Leo Abada just give them a good old spanking. Like I said, Leo Abada, he gets his brace, but he did get substituted in the 82nd minute, which I'm not here to question Dean Smith in any way, shape, or form, but personally, I think if he went 82 minutes, he could probably go the full 90. He's sitting on a brace or he's sitting on a hat trick. I don't really see the point in bringing him off, to be completely honest with you, because if I know you said you watched the game on TV as well. The last 10 minutes of this match, including stoppage time, was squeaky bum time, man. We were under the cosh. We did concede again, and Tiger Smalls comes in, and bless his heart, he had an atrocious game. He just couldn't keep the ball, making poor pass decisions. We were on the break several times. Big Pat was leggy. You could tell the poor guy's been an absolute workhorse in the past 2 months. I would have liked to see Leo Labata just stay on for the full 90. Charlotte comes out 3-2 victors. What are your thoughts on some of the substitutions?
I mean, give Pat a Purple Heart medal. The dude was playing on a bum ankle, and he still was dominating. So you love to see it. He's just laying it all out there. And I thought Liel gave it everything he had. I thought he was pretty gassed. I think he may still be working his way up to full fitness. So we may not be seeing peak Liel Abada yet. And that's a scary proposition for our opponents. When he is able to play a full 90, this is the kind of guy that could be scoring an extra time goal for us to win the game. Instead of dropping points, we can be looking to go on the attack. So I'm really excited to see what happens. Now, Charlotte FC had a 2-week layoff. That same interview with Brandt that I talked about earlier, they asked him, I think it was Willie P., our friend from WFNZ, asked him, would you rather keep playing or have like a 2-week break after a big win like this? And Bronico said, I would always rather be playing. I love playing. That's what I want to do. So I don't know what else you'd rather hear from Brandt Bronico, but he'd rather still be playing. He gets a vacation. He gets some time off. The rest of the squad could certainly use it. Ashley Westwood is back on yellow card accumulation watch. He's back up to 4.
Yep.
So we got to be a little bit careful here. But you know what? At this point, I'm okay with Westwood maybe sitting out a game and get that yellow card, spend it wisely. Don't spend it on something frivolous. But I don't want him to compromise like who he is or how he's managing the team, because we've talked about it. Like, I see the results from the top down, the fire, Andrew Privet on the back line getting all fired up and getting in people's faces when they're, doing some nonsense. That comes from the top. That comes from the skipper, and Westwood's really setting the tone for the team. I would not want to play Charlotte if I was, any other team in the East, especially come playoff time. This is the kind of team that can pull an upset. We can beat any other team in the league. We've already beaten Columbus. We've beaten Cincinnati. It's a scary proposition, especially when you come into the Fortress. Bank of America Stadium, we don't lose often. So I'm excited, man.
That's true. And just to kind of round out this Atlanta game, who's your Crown of the Day award? I mean, I think there's an obvious choice here, so you can go with that, obviously. But besides Liel, who would you go with?
Yeah, I mean, I think Liel is the player of the match day, well deserved. I think he's finally showing some of that, why we paid the money we did for such a supreme talent. And I think he's a really good fit with our team. But I would give my crown of the day to Patrick Ajiman. I think playing on the bum leg, he absolutely showed the grit and determination that makes him special. And when people are saying Pat's not the guy, he's not the striker, I think they're missing the point. He's a young guy. He's still developing, but he offers something that nobody else on this team can give us. The physicality, being able to solo and create chances all on his own without support. He's a one-man wrecking crew. And for him to do that, coming off the injury with Red Bull, where Dean said on Friday, if the game was today, he wouldn't be playing, and he does come out Sunday and puts in that kind of an effort, I think that was really instrumental for the win. Who do you got?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think Liel is the obvious choice here. He played a 9.2 on Foot Mob. I'm going to go with Brent Bronico. Brent Bronico played a 7.8, had this assist on the second Abada goal. But more than that, just his grit, like you said, man, and the way he played in that second half was just instrumental in you getting this win. Defensively, just being everywhere. I've had my critiques of Brent Bronico in the past, but I think that it is just, it shows you a lot. We've had three different managers here between Miguel Angel Ramirez, Christian Latanzio, and now and all three of them are seeing the same thing in this guy that's from North Carolina, and he's just a absolute workhorse, man.
Yeah.
He has that motor that does not stop, and he loves this club. He loves these fans. This dude is Charlotte through and through, and he had a remarkable second half in this match that helped you see out the 3-2 win. Now, coming up for Charlotte FC this Saturday, they will be back at Bank of America Stadium playing DC United, who DC United is winless in their last 5. But, Luke, don't let that fool you. Christian Benteke sits second in the Golden Boot race at 12 goals, and they are very, very scary on set pieces, and that's something that Charlotte has struggled with this season. So this is going to be an interesting matchup this coming Saturday night at 7:30.
I mean, it seems like DC has had our number. Even when they're not a particularly good club, they seem to perform well against us. Talking about Benteke, we all remember his goal earlier this season, an absolute worldo golazo from, what was it, like 20 yards out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure, man.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, obviously, other than Christian Benteke, he's getting service. That's the main thing. Jared Stroud's in top 5 in the league in assists. He's sitting there with 8 assists. He's actually tied. They got another guy on the team. I will never be able to pronounce his first name, but the last name is Klitsch, and he's sitting on 8 assists as well. Benteke's getting the service. This team is scary going forward. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these assists are on set pieces and are on corner kicks, because Christian Benteke is just an absolute animal in the air. He has been for a long time. Even when he was in the Premier League, that was his bread and butter and still is. I'd take that back. Not sitting on 12 goals. He's sitting on 13 goals in 15 matches played. So the dude is absolutely lighting up MLS. So Malanda and Privet are going to have their hands full with him, specifically on set pieces. And, Charlotte, like you said a minute ago, Charlotte is a tough place to come play for opposing teams. But the great equalizer is always set pieces and corner kicks, man.
Yeah, I really want to see Big Pat get a goal or two in this. So that's what I'm looking for.
And then just as a quick turnaround time, because we play Wednesday back at Bank of America Stadium against Orlando City. Yeah, fixtures are going to be coming thick and fast, and then obviously in July you got the Leagues Cup coming up. So with that being said, Luke, there has been some transfer rumors reported initially by Top Ben 90 that Charlotte FC are close to bringing in a United States men's national team superstar and Tim Ream, who plays at Fulham currently. Any thoughts on Tim Ream maybe coming to join the Crown?
Yeah, of course. I think it's a great move. I think that's the kind of player, if you can get him, if he's available, you have to do it. What I've heard is that it is a very high likelihood for Charlotte FC.
Yeah, I think this. People are. I've seen some takes on Twitter that people are concerned that Tim Ream's older. He's 36 years old, but the quality's there. He's not coming in to star over Addison Malanda or Andrew Privet. What do we have behind those two guys? You got Bill Tuiloma and Hamidi Diop maybe, and so with Leagues Cup coming up, and then obviously the back half of the schedule, you if you do make it to the playoffs, it's one of those things where you need depth. And everybody calm down. I guarantee you this front office is going to go out and find some attacking players this summer transfer window. I love Big Pat. I think that he's still developing. He is a good number 9, but we need depth up there. He's all we got. You could put Tavares up there. Maybe you could put Tiger Smalls up there, but they're not out-and-out strikers. We need a designated player number 9 and number 10, in my opinion. I think the number 10 is probably a little bit more important because I do think Pat is a serviceable number 9, but those legs are going to get tired, specifically with Leagues Cup coming up and with the MLS schedule. So, just everybody relax. The attacking transfers will be coming. But I think this is a good move, and like I said, Tim Ream has quality for sure.
Yeah, and I think most importantly is that he's plug and play with any type of system, including ours. So I think that we can use the depth. Right now we have Malanda and Privet, and they're not going to be able to play every game. So we need somebody else to step in and fill the gap. That could very well be U.S. national player Tim Ream. I think he's the kind of guy that can sell jerseys. He can put butts in seats. We need that too. As long as this is not a DP level signing, as long as it's TAM or below, I think that I really like the signing. And he's at the tail end of his career, so he should not be commanding more than $1 million a year. And I would hope that we could get him closer to 600 to 700,000 a year.
Like I said, I don't foresee him coming in to be a starter. So therefore, to me, you don't make him a DP. This league specifically, you don't bring in a DP for your back line. This team is crying out for a number 10. It just is. And obviously, we have multiple DB spots open. But if he was coming in, he was 28, 29 years old in the prime of his career, something like that. But he's just not. And not saying he started for the United States men's national team yesterday against Colombia. So the talent is still there. But again, no, I agree with you that it's got to be a 10 level or lower. Let's take a look at some other things going on, though.
There was a stadium announcement that Tepper Sports
Yep.
Entertainment, the company that owns Charlotte FC as well as the Panthers, put forward a proposal to the city of Charlotte for what ends up being an $800+ million renovation. Bank of America Stadium is really showing its age. It's 30 years old or so, and it is not set up with modern amenities in a lot of ways that the newest generation of stadiums have. So they're trying to package this as a sustainability effort, as lowering the annual cost to the city of Charlotte. They're saying they've already invested $100 million, which they're counting towards this total in basic upkeep. I don't know how that works when you're putting forward a proposal to say, oh, we took care of this thing we already have, so you should give us credit for doing that. But the funds that they're asking for are tourism dollars that are designed to bring new visitors to Charlotte. Personally, I think what's bringing new visitors to Charlotte is Copa America. I don't think the Panthers are doing that, especially when these upgrades would not put us in contention for a Super Bowl. They would not put us in contention for a college football playoff game or championship. They are not adding a dome. They're not adding a retractable roof. They're adding some LED lights, a new, more expensive seating section in the upper level. They're adding a social pavilion in the upper level, so that would actually be reducing the stadium capacity, but adding a social zone, which I'm assuming, once again, they would charge more money for. I don't know, man. I reviewed this proposal. I went fairly in depth on it. There was little to nothing that would benefit Charlotte FC. It was almost entirely designed to benefit the Panthers. I don't know on a tourism tax that this is going to be bringing more people to Charlotte. Right now, the only people coming to watch the Panthers play are away fans. So I get that argument that more people could come in and see them play. I don't know. I'd rather see them win games than worry about more away fans coming to Panthers games. And I don't think more LED lights is going to do that. What did you think about this proposal? And I mean, should
Yeah, I mean,
billionaires fund their own projects? I'm confused on this one.
yeah, no, I mean, I, 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 I think it's like I said. I think it's more. I think it's more like you said, Copa America, these international soccer tournaments. Look, make no mistake about it. Charlotte is a soccer city. This city gets up definitely recently more for Charlotte FC matches than they do the Panthers. I think that it's just I'm not going to say it's a bad thing, but at the same time, if it was going to be, hey, you know what, we're going to be putting down a natural surface on the field. We're going to be, you know, upgrading, and remodeling to make this more of a soccer fluid stadium for Charlotte FC. It'd be one thing, but from what I've read, and it's not that's not the case. So it's like I said, I don't think it's a horrible thing. I think it's something new. So when the culture that we live in nowadays, people like new people, and so if it's going to draw people in, I don't know. The Panthers, real winning brings in fans, man. It just does. As far as the Panthers, and realistically, the Panthers aren't winning. So I mean, it's just one of those things, man. I don't. What time will tell. Time will tell.
It certainly will. They're asking for 650 million from the city of Charlotte in taxpayer funds, and I've heard the counter argument. This tax has already been in place. If the money doesn't go to them, it'll go to somebody else. As somebody who lives in the metro area and spends his money in Charlotte on entertainment products, I don't know that that's the worst idea in the world, but I will give you my most cynical take on this. I think that this is blackmailing the city of Charlotte from Tepper Sports. And I'll tell you why I think that. They have a clause inside this proposal that would handcuff the Carolina Panthers to Charlotte for 20 years with a soft option for an additional 5. So I think they're trying to extort from the city of Charlotte $650 million with the implied threat that if they don't give them this money, that they could move the team to another city. And Tepper has shown through his actions that he is a vindictive person. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn on this. I think that that is a fair and objective analysis of his behavior towards York County, towards a number of other projects. There's the famous story about what he did to a former coworker who wronged him. He bought his house and demolished it and built a new house on top of it. I mean, this is somebody who could move a sports franchise to another city. If you think he's going to care about the hearts and minds and feelings of the people in this community, you're not paying attention. I live in York County. I still am hurt by what he did to the city of Rock Hill with the practice facility, the Panthers practice facility that was supposed to be a $500 million project. And he left because he thought he could get a better deal on another site. He left by ghosting the municipal government, not returning calls or emails for 6 months. I do appreciate that he let Charlotte FC do their own thing. And I love the Charlotte FC front office. And when I go outside of town and I'm talking to people about the Charlotte FC, they say, oh, what about Tepper? I mean, isn't he a terrible person? And I say, look, I don't think he is. I think that he's very successful at business. He's worth $30 billion. I'll never have that kind of money. But he's obviously
Yeah.
been very successful. the best thing I can say about him is that he leaves Charlotte FC alone. And he lets Zoran and Joe and the front office do their own thing. I personally think that our front office has done an exceptional job. I think that they care about this community, that they've invested in this community, and we're starting to see the results of what they've been doing in terms of the roster building construction. It's just taken longer than expected, but we're a new franchise that happens. Long rant, long way of saying I think this is a cynical play to force the city to give them money to keep the Panthers in Charlotte, and this has nothing to do with Charlotte FC. I would still like a soccer specific stadium. I would like to see a partial roof or a retractable roof, or at least some kind of awnings over the seats. They're saying they want to preserve the skyline view. I don't go there for that. I don't know what that means, but they're adding seats at the top of the upper deck, so maybe they're trying to incorporate that in some way. I would rather have a roof. I don't know about you, but anyway, that's all I got on that topic.
Yeah, I mean, just real quick, I would love to see a soccer specific stadium for Charlotte, man. I think that the atmosphere is great in Bank of America. Don't get me wrong, but if you could have a 45 to 50,000 seat soccer specific stadium, realistically, um, that you're going to fill that thing up pretty good almost on a weekend and week out basis. And when it comes to Tepper himself, look, man, my dad told me this and taught me this a long time ago. 9 times out of 10, if you are a multi-millionaire or a billionaire, you done some stuff along the way that probably wasn't good, and probably screwed some people over and stuff to get where you are. It's the way of the world, unfortunately. And so, I agree. I'm glad that he kind of leaves Charlotte FC alone and let them kind of handle their own there. So, but yeah. So moving on from that, we do got a little bit other news going on. The Jäegermeister Cup is still in full swing for USL and the Charlotte Independence and the Greenville Triumph. The Greenville Triumph are playing right now as we record this against Tormenta, and they are at halftime tied up 1-1. And Charlotte is looking to stay top of their group. I mean, not Charlotte. Greenville is looking to stay top of their group, and we'll see how this match plays out. But how's the Independence looking?
Yeah, they actually got their first win of the Jägermeister Cup last night against Richmond Kickers. So I'm not gonna lie, I was up in Cary, North Carolina, and I did a quick Google Maps search to see how far I was from Richmond. Um, Obviously, the schedules conflicted, but I was only 2 hours away. It was technically possible for me to go see that, and obviously, I had another event to cover, but yeah, Independence with a big win, 1-0. Clay Dimmick, let me tell you, man, I saw this highlight. This could be a ESPN top 10 play. Dun-na-nut, dun-na-nut. He tracks back. Austin Pack makes a save, but the ball still gets past him, and he's playing forward maybe 7 or 8 yards out of the box. And ball gets past him and is slow rolling straight into the open net. Clay Dimmick full speed sprint straight backwards. And as he gets close, pivots, turns his body, and throws his body sideways, kicking the ball out and clearing it from the goal line, literally inches from the actual goal line. So my goodness, what a play. ESPN top 10. He preserves the win and the 3 points. It was called the save of the game, and it was by a defensive player. So you love to see it. Shout out to the captain, friend of the pod, Clay Dimmick. First interview I did for this podcast was Clay and Hugh Roberts. Love those guys. Charlotte Independence, much needed win in Jägermeister Cup. They are still alive, the Jägermeister Cup here. I've totally blanked on their tagline. What is it? A shot of glory? A shot at. There we go.
Yeah, and so yeah, I mean, and like I said, Trump still. I just checked again. They are still 1-1. So we'll keep an eye on that and keep you updated on Twitter for sure at QCS Pod. And yeah, Crown Legacy also played. Luke, what happened with the MLS Next Pro version of Charlotte FC?
Oof. All right. So I've told you guys before, our boys with Crown Legacy, they have a problem. And that problem is called Huntsville City Soccer Club because every time they play Huntsville, something crazy happens and they struggle with this team like no other team on the roster. I'm sure they know about it. I'm sure it's a thing because I can't I certainly can't explain what it is, but they go on the road to Huntsville. Huntsville takes a 2-0 lead. Charlotte comes back and ties it up in the second half, and then Huntsville just puts on the gas and 4-2 final for Huntsville City. That's the Nashville FC or Nashville SC feeder program, and man, they fired their coach earlier this year at Huntsville City, and then Nashville fired their coach. So it's an organization in turmoil at both levels, but somehow they still have Crown Legacy's number. I cannot explain it. And Crown Legacy is currently sitting in ninth place. They've dropped out of playoff position. So I don't know what they need to do, but the boys are struggling. They're sitting on an 18 to 18 goals for and against, so a 0 goal differential on the season. 4 wins, 3 draws, 4 losses, a very even, neutral record here, and only 11 games played, so they still have 1 or 2 games in hand. Cole, check this out, bud. We got Thursday night Crown Legacy at home, Friday night Charlotte Independence at home, Saturday night Charlotte FC at home. This is a soccer weekend in the Queen City. We have three days, 3 games. This could be a 9-point week for Charlotte soccer.
Yeah, and we hope that it is. And again, then you got Charlotte FC on Wednesday too, the following week. So again, a lot of fixtures coming up, a lot of content going to be coming your ways, guys. We're looking at getting a player from Charlotte FC on the podcast to interview, and so keep an eye out for that. We also have the Copa America coming up, the United States men's national team. And we always have Vince from USMNT Thoughts on Twitter and the podcast USMNT Thoughts. Him and Dalton do a great job. Y'all, if you've been listening to this podcast for any amount of time, we did for the World Cup a couple years ago. We did a game by game breakdown every single game. We had previews for Gold Cups. Vince does a phenomenal job, and we will be getting him back on the pod. We have an interview lined up with him previewing the Copa America and all it brings. And the United States men's national team had a friendly yesterday against Colombia where they got their asses stomped 5-1. And then unfortunately it gets no easier. They play Brazil in their final tune-up for Copa America Wednesday. So looking forward to that. I'm excited about Copa America. I know you, Luke, as a president of a chapter of the American Outlaws, are a big men's national team supporter, and we're excited to have Vince on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Earlier today, the U.S. women's team advanced to the final of the soccer tournament. That's going to be tomorrow night. So if you want some good U.S. soccer action, you can check that out on ESPN tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Yeah, last night the U.S. men's team just dropped an absolute deuce in Maryland, and apparently the D.C. Metro has one of the highest Colombian populations in the U.S. So that was part of the
Apparently they do.
well, I mean, that was part of the decision to host the game there. And the rest of the top five, I believe, are all along that I-95 corridor, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia. So that place was packed out for the Colombian supporters. Shout out to friend of the pod, Jorge Torres, proud Colombian American, and he was eating well last night. That was that was not a good night. They were chanting in the stadium, "USA, we're your daddy," and
Yeah,
we did
it's
nothing
just a
to
tough.
dissuade them of that opinion.
No, not at all. And we'll get into more of it with Vince. But just real quick, Luke, before we hop out of here, I just want to kind of get your thoughts on this.
Yeah,
So since this game, there's been a ton of backlash on Greg Berhalter. Greg Berhalter is always the conversation piece when it comes to the men's national team, and a lot of people are calling for his firing. And I just, again, me and you haven't really discussed this too much, Luke, but I'm not a Greg Berhalter guy by no means. But I don't see how you fire him 2 weeks before a major international tournament. What that would do to the team. I understand that Callahan's been an interim, been interim before, and he's on the staff, and you could just promote him. Like, I get that point and everything. I just don't see how you fire him. And then the press conference did no favors with Twitter USMNT guys, because he essentially just threw the players under the bus, as he tends to always do.
unreal.
And Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on that? Do you let him go before the tournament, or you keep him?
I mean, the USA Soccer has not ever once followed my opinions or my recommendations on anything. So I don't think they're going to start now. I think really, I was talking with Caleb Adams from the club yesterday on social media, and he's preaching realism and pragmatism. I respect that. USA Soccer, they're not going to fire Greg Berhalter right before the tournament.
Uh,
Copa America being hosted in the United States, but I have a very big problem with how this team is looking at this upcoming tournament. They do not appear to have a killer instinct. In recent interviews, they're saying this is just a stepping stone. It's just a warm up for the World Cup. And that is the wrong opinion to have. You need to go into this tournament with a desire to win. You have to be ballers, man. You got to be dogs. Where are the dogs for this team? I don't know, man. He doesn't get along with Tim Ream. Tim Ream's a dog. He's going to get after it. And I think that's a Greg Berhalter thing. I think he's more style and less substance. You look at his, the most interesting thing about him is the shoes he wears. The dude has
yeah.
virtually no personality, wet cardboard. And we need a U.S. manager who's going to inspire and get this team on the right track mentally for the tournament. You can talk about how much influence does a international coach have on their team. In the international game, it's different than the club setting. I can't talk. Greg seems like a club coach, and his mentality is too small. He is too small-minded for the international game. He has 5 wins. 5 wins in his entire tenure against teams ranked in the top 20. You know who those wins were against, Cole?
Who's that?
Mexico, 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 and Iran. What's the banner win of the Greg Berhalter era?
Defenders out there would say getting out of the group of the World Cup, but again, I think with the talent that this team has, I don't think there was a coach that would not have gotten this team out of the group stage in the World Cup.
I, I
And you
mean,
know what's gonna
hey,
you
look
know
at the
what's
World
gonna
Cup,
be
man. Like his biggest win of the World Cup was a draw against England, and that was a draw that
yeah.
should have been a
It was.
win.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I agree, dude. I'm with you on everything that you said.
Would you rather the U.S. fail out of Copa America in the group stage if it means that Greg Berhalter gets fired, or reach the quarterfinals or semifinals if it means that Greg Berhalter stays?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, man. I want to see this team succeed. So it's the same thing. It's kind of the similar. I have the similar feelings as I did with Christian Latanzio and Charlotte FC. I wasn't a fan of Latanzio. I think that Latanzio was not the right fit. I think Greg Berhalter is not the right fit. But if they're succeeding, I'm going to be happy. If they go in and they do go to the semifinals of the Copa America, that is massive. And I'm not going to, would I like to see another coach? Absolutely. But I think in that situation, I would rather see us go to the semifinals just because, dude, that'd be a huge step and huge boost going into 2026 and the World Cup coming to the United States. And what I'm worried about, man, is you got Jesse Marsh, who just obviously is now the head coach of Canada. They played France today and drew against France 0-0, a huge result for them before Copa America starts. And it's going to be time. Time will tell, man. But as far as your question, let me ask you that same question. What would you do?
Uh, Unfortunately, man, I think we need to see a change in this team. My number one priority, my number one goal is for us to succeed at the World Cup, to lift a World Cup trophy. Greg Berhalter will not lift a World Cup trophy. He's not the
No,
right guy,
no.
and I don't know what else we need to mix up, but maybe the teams that he's picking also will not win a World Cup trophy. Maybe we need to switch up who we're bringing into camp. Maybe it's guys that I haven't heard of that are not even on my radar. So I'm looking forward to our conversation this week with USMNT thoughts, because what do we need to do to switch up this roster? My knowledge doesn't go that in depth to tell you what the answer is. I just know that we are not going to win with Greg Berhalter. He has never
Yeah,
beaten a good team outside of Mexico. And Iran, calling them a
yeah,
top 20 team, is generous. Okay?
yeah.
Generous.
And to be honest with you, they struggled. They struggled to beat Iran, man. They won 1-0, and it wasn't a convincing win by no means.
I mean, hey, where's the Euro team that we beat? Where's the Conembl team that we beat? Show me those names because I don't see them. In the past, the U.S. has a history of winning monumental games once in a while. Okay, Bruce Arena had signature wins like Spain in the Confederations Cup. With Spain's golden generation, we beat them in an international tournament. What has Greg Berhalter done? Not a thing. And the mentality
Yeah.
of, oh, we're not worried about Copa America. It's just a warm up for the World Cup. That is so toxic. Honestly, I don't want that opinion on my team. If that was my player, I'd be sitting you. You would not be seeing the field if you have that mentality. And maybe that's too simplistic of me. Maybe I'm overreacting. But that shit just pisses me off, man. Like, I want to see the USA succeed, and I feel like we're going in the wrong direction. I know he's the budget pick and that other options cost more money, but we have the World Cup coming up. Now is the time to spend that money. The return on investment is there. I'll leave it at that. I'm getting a little bit heated just talking about it.
Yeah. We'll save it for Vince on Thursday. Well, Luke, before we hop out of here, man, anything else you got?
Yeah, man, watching the soccer tournament, Nani FC Newtown Pride, they're in target score time, so I can't tell you who's going to win it, but the U.S. women advanced to the finals along with the NC Courage. That game's coming up. By the time you guys listen to it, it's going to be tonight. The men's side of the bracket is getting finalized. You have, like I said, Nani FC and Newtown Pride right now playing for a spot in the championship. Meanwhile, earlier today, you had La Bombonera beat Hoosier Army, so Indiana's out of it. La Bombonera out of Delaware is advancing to the final, so it's going to be a good story whoever wins, and can't wait to see it. I'll bring you guys some more TST content coming up soon. I have interviews, I have more match views. Make sure to follow us on YouTube and TikTok at QCS Pod to get those videos. I'll try to drop some audio from the interviews on this feed throughout the week. We have a media series episode coming up soon with Jorge Torres, friend of the pod. And I also think that this USA special episode, I'm really looking forward to that. So thank you for setting that up. And Cole will be interviewing a player from the team soon, and more information on that to come. So lots of great things coming. Make sure to tell your friends and family, your neighbors, put it on a billboard, QCS Pod. We're putting out a lot of great content for you guys. Charlotte soccer, Carolina soccer.
With that, we'll see you guys next time on another episode of the Queen City Soccer Show. For Luke, I'm Cole. We're out.
For the crown, baby.